Millionaire's daughter reveals incredible choice. A heartwarming sisterhood with a homeless girl. Emily sat in the grand dining room of her parents' mansion, the gleaming chandelier casting prisms over the polished marble floor. The lavish brunch spread before her imported cheeses, flaky pastries, and bubbling mimosas felt like a cruel joke. She forced a smile at her friends, their laughter all but bouncing off the gilded walls, but beneath the surface, she felt suffocated. The endless conversations about designer bags and exclusive parties left her more isolated than ever. This wasn't the life she craved. Determined to break free from her gilded cage, she found herself at the local soup kitchen the following Saturday, a stark contrast to her opulent world. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and the air felt charged with raw humanity. A woman with a warm voice welcomed her, and Emily was soon immersed in the flurry of preparing meals. That's when she met Mia. Mia stood by the window, her chestnut curls catching the light, a bright spark in a dim reality. She was charming and spirited, sharing stories of her dreams with unwavering hope. "I want to sing on a stage," she exclaimed, eyes twinkling as she stirred a pot of soup. Each word was like a breath of fresh air, and as Emily listened, her heart began to open. But outside the kitchen doors, Emily's friends began to notice her new connection. Isn't she, like, a charity case? They whispered, their voices dripping with disdain. Emily felt the weight of their judgments tug at her heart, pulling her in two different directions. Should she abandon her friend for the sake of social status? Or face their scorn for something genuine? Each week spent with Mia felt like a secret rebellion. They shared laughter, formed dreams, and ignited a fragile bond. Emily wanted to be brave and stand by Mia's side, but doubt crept in. She saw the vulnerability in Mia's eyes, a haunting reminder of the societal shackles that pulled at them both. Each moment with Mia was bittersweet, illuminating the divisions of their worlds, deepening Emily's internal conflict. As fate would have it, a local charity event approached, and Mia's raw talent for singing was undeniable. Emily made it her mission to promote Mia and rally support from her affluent friends, desperate to shine a light on her extraordinary voice. If everyone just sees her talent, Emily thought, excitement bubbling within her. But when her social circle turned cold, their rejection slammed like a door. At the center of it all, a confrontation erupted. The whispers and accusations collided with Emily's efforts to uplift Mia, leaving both girls torn apart. That evening, burdened with emotions and under the orange glow of the setting sun, they found themselves on the steps of the community center, silence washing over their broken friendship. "I just wanted you to have your chance," Emily choked out, tears pooling in her eyes, lost in sorrow and frustration. Mia's face darkened, the pain of misunderstanding cutting deep. They each faced their demons, realizing this rift could reveal more profound truths about who they were and the world they lived in. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The shadows lingered around them, and both girls felt the burden of unfulfilled dreams hover over their heads. Would their friendship be swallowed by the weight of societal expectations? As the sun dipped below the horizon, each girl wrestled with the fear that their bond might fade away, leaving them forever divided, two souls spiraling apart when they needed each other most. The cool night air wrapped around Emily as she sat alone on the steps, leaning against the rough wood, her heart aching. The silhouettes of the community center loomed behind her, dark and uninviting. She rubbed her arms in an attempt to fend off the chill, but it was the cold emptiness of her friendship with Mia that clawed at her insides. What had gone so wrong? It felt like one moment they were dreaming together, and the next, they were torn apart by words heavy with misunderstanding. The faces of her friends played in her mind like a broken record, each comment, each judgment leading her back to the same conclusion: she didn't belong. But neither did Mia belong to that world, and it made Emily's heart swell with guilt and turmoil. Suddenly, she heard footsteps approaching. Mia stepped into view, hesitating slightly before sitting beside her. The quiet stretched between them, an invisible barrier formed from hurt and anger that neither knew how to breach. "I wish you'd just told them the truth," Mia finally said, her voice barely above a whisper as she stared straight ahead. "You know, about how you feel about me." Emily drew in a shaky breath. "I didn't want to misrepresent what we have." I thought the words fumbled in her throat as tears threatened to spill over. "I thought I could help you be seen, to show everyone how incredible you are." Mia turned away, the hurt evident on her face. "But it felt like you were trying to prove something to them, like I was a trophy, not a friend." Her voice trembled, and Emily could feel the pain radiating from her. "No. That wasn't it." Emily's heart raced, and she reached for Mia's hand, but Mia pulled back. "I just wanted you to have a chance to shine," she urged, desperation creeping into her voice. "Your voice deserves to be heard. And what if I'm not ready for the world to see me?" Mia's response cut sharper than a knife. "What if I'm just scared of failing?" The weight of her words settled heavily in the air. Emily had never truly considered the overwhelming pressure Mia must feel. It wasn't just about the dream of performing. It was about vulnerability, about stepping into the light and facing the expectation that came with it. "I'm sorry," Emily whispered, her heart sinking further. "I didn't think." Mia turned to look at her then, the faint glow from the street lamp illuminating her tear-streaked face. "Don't say that. You wanted to protect me in your way, but it just made things worse." Emily felt a shift in the atmosphere. It was small, but Mia's anger didn't consume her anymore. It was replaced by something deeper, a flicker of understanding. They were standing on either side of a chasm, but perhaps together they could find a way to bridge it. "Can we try again?" Emily asked, her voice gentle, hesitant. "Maybe we can find a way to support each other without all the pressure." Mia looked thoughtful. "Maybe we could create our own show, just us, something where it's okay to be scared." The idea brightened Emily's spirit, igniting a spark of hope. "A place where we can just be ourselves." "Yes," Mia said, a small smile breaking through, a hint of her former light that in that moment, Emily knew they could rise from the ashes of misunderstanding and confusion. Two girls forging their own path in a world that designed them to fail. With their dreams intertwined, the journey was just beginning, and uncertainty still waited ahead. As they sat side by side, hearts slowly mending, Emily's mind whirled with possibilities. But before she could voice her thoughts, the night was pierced by the distant sounds of sirens, a reminder of a world outside their bubble. Both girls froze, eyes locking in shared concern. What was happening now? They stood up, hearts racing, the confrontation of reality looming ahead. Would they take their stand together, or would the outside world pull them apart once again? The night was far from over, and the girls felt the stirrings of a new fight ahead. Emily and Mia exchanged frantic glances as the sirens grew closer, reverberating through the stillness of the night. The cool air felt heavier now, charged with something that was more than just their previous tension. It was almost as if the sound was drawing them back into a world they had hoped to escape for just a moment longer. "What do you think is happening?" Mia murmured, concern etched on her face. "I have no idea," Emily replied, her mind racing. "But we should check it out. If it's something serious, we can't just ignore it." Reluctantly, they began to walk towards the street, where the lights of a police car flashed in the distance, turning the night into a surreal blend of reds and blues. The sirens pierced the air, and Emily could feel her heart thrumming louder in her chest with every step. As they neared the scene, a small crowd had already gathered. Whispers floated on the breeze. "Did you hear? A fight broke out at the diner." One voice caught Emily's attention, igniting a sense of urgency within her. She felt a pang in her gut, aware that this was oddly close to home. That diner was their hangout spot, a place filled with laughter and shared dreams. "Mia, what if?" Emily started, her voice shaky. "What if it's someone we know?" Mia finished for her, anxiety creeping in. They moved through the throng of people, keeping close to each other. The tension in the air thickened as they approached the front of the crowd. There, through the sea of faces, were two figures being questioned by a couple of officers. Emily squinted, trying to make out their features in the harsh lights, but her heart sank when she recognized one of them. "It's Josh," she whispered, disbelief shadowing her face. Josh, who was known for his bravado and charm, now looked lost and disheveled. The other person beside him was a girl nobody knew, her face all bruised and swollen, a stark contrast against the flashing lights. Why would Josh be involved in something like this? Mia exclaimed, her eyes wide. As if sensing their gaze, Josh turned, his expression shifting from surprise to guilt. When his eyes met Emily's, a familiar flicker of shame passed between them. What had once been a friendship filled with laughter felt like it had been replaced with a wall of judgment. "Emily. Mia." He called out, desperation leaking into his tone. "This isn't what it looks like." Emily felt a wave of betrayal. "What is it then, Josh?" "Because it looks pretty bad." A mix of worry and despair was palpable in her voice. "It's not," he hesitated, glancing at the girl beside him, "it just got out of hand. I was trying to help her but things escalated." Mia flinched. "Help? By getting into a fight?" Josh didn't answer her. Instead, he looked at Emily, his eyes pleading. "Please, just let me explain." As the sirens dimmed into a somber echo, Emily found herself standing at a crossroads. She could turn away, allowing anger and disappointment to consume her. Or she could step forward, ready to untangle the threads of misunderstandings, even ones that felt too tangled to fix. Before she could decide, someone in the crowd shouted, "What are you going to do, Josh?" The question lingered, hanging in the air like a storm ready to break. Emily's heart raced, torn between instinct and loyalty. Would she find the courage to confront the truth? Or would she let the moment slip away, letting the darkness once again define who they were? The weight of the choice pressed heavily on her. The night was far from over, and the truth lay just within reach if only she had the strength to grasp it. Emily inhaled sharply, the tension in the air settling like a thick fog around them. It wasn't just Josh's words hanging over her, it was the pulse of uncertainty that throbbed in her ears. Every second felt like an eternity as she weighed the gravity of his situation against the friendship that had once brought them together. "What do you mean it got out of hand?" She finally blurted out, her voice barely above a whisper, but charged with emotion. "How could you be caught up in something like this?" The hurt seeped through her tone, more painful than she intended. The crowd seemed to hold its breath, eyes fixated on the three of them. Mia shifted uneasy beside her, looking from Emily to Josh, unsure of whose side to take. "I was just trying to stand up for her," Josh said, his voice cracking slightly. The girl he was with had lowered her head, her bruised face partially obscured by unkempt hair. "It was like she needed help, and I thought what?" Mia interrupted, her skepticism visible. "You'd turn into some kind of hero? This isn't a movie, Josh. What were you thinking?" "Stop." Emily cut in. "Please, let him finish." The murmurs from the crowd grew louder, a mix of gossip and speculation, and Emily felt the heat rising in her cheeks. She couldn't let this escalate any further. This wasn't just about her anger, it was about the girl standing silently at Josh's side. Josh looked overwhelmed, on the verge of tears. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I swear. I saw her being cornered by those guys and I don't know. I thought I could help." And then he trailed off, and the silence that followed was deafening. Emily's heart tightened as she took in his expression. The mixture of guilt, frustration, and deep-seated regret was unmistakable. It reminded her of the boy she once knew, the one who wore confidence like a shield but was fragile beneath it all. "What were you helping her with, Josh?" Emily's voice softened. "What happened before all of this?" He took a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. They were just picking on her. spouting off random insults, and I thought it'd be okay. But they didn't back off. It turned ugly. Ugly how? Mia folded her arms, still skeptical but willing to listen now. Josh glanced at the girl beside him, who finally looked up, her eyes glimmering with unshed tears. I didn't mean to get so aggressive. But when I saw her getting hurt, something snapped. I used to be someone who could laugh off a fight, but this it felt personal. That struck a chord in Emily. She sensed a fierce protectiveness in him, a boy who, despite his flaws, was willing to defend someone. But at what cost? Look, Emily, Mia, I need you to believe me, Josh pleaded, his voice raw. I just wanted to help. I thought I was doing the right thing. They locked eyes for a heartbeat, a silent battle between trust and betrayal swirling in that moment. Could she let herself believe him when every instinct cried otherwise? Then a voice broke through the tension. You have to choose, Josh. One of the onlookers shouted again. Are you with us, or against us? The question hung in the air, heavy and foreboding. Emily felt the weight of decisions that could hinge on this moment. Would Josh step back from the edge of this dark scenario, or would he dive deeper? In that charged silence, she felt her own heart race with the urgency of the choices before them. As the crowd's watchful eyes bore down on them, she reached for the courage that danced on the edge of discovery. Josh, I want to help. But you need to tell us everything, she urged, her voice steady now. Just as he began to speak, the piercing sound of more sirens interrupted them, cutting through the tension like a knife. Emily's stomach dropped. What now? The noise was more than a reminder of the trouble they were in. It was a signal that things were about to change, and not in a way they had anticipated. Stay close, she urged Mia and took a step towards Josh. But before she could hear all the answers she craved, the chaos of the night twisted into an unforeseen twist that would alter everything. Once again. Would they face the consequences together, or fracture into pieces irreparably? The uncertainty loomed, a heart-stopping question lingering as the sirens faded into the distance. The sirens echoed, pulling everyone into a shared panic. Emily felt her heartbeat quicken, adrenaline flooding her veins. What could those sirens mean? She shifted her gaze from Josh to the girl beside him, who looked like a ghost, trembling but defiant. Josh, we need to move. We can't just stand here, Emily urged, glancing at Mia, who nodded but looked equally worried. Josh swallowed hard. They won't let me go. Not after this, he said, a shadow of fear darkening his expression. But we can't wait for whatever's coming. Mia's voice shook as she stepped closer to Josh, trying to bridge the distance between them. I'm sorry, the girl finally whispered, her voice fragile, almost lost in the chaos. I didn't mean to get him into this. It should have been me. No. It's not your fault, Josh said, his gaze softening. You were just trying to live your life. I should have thought this through. As he spoke, Emily could see the emotions flicker across his face: fear, remorse, and a burning desire to protect. In that moment, he didn't just seem like the boy she used to know, but also the man he was trying to become. Then let us be smart about this, Mia said, her voice steadying with determination. Can we get her somewhere safe? Anywhere they won't find her? Josh nodded slowly, his brow furrowed. If we can just make it to my car. It's parked a few blocks away. We can. Before he could finish, a loud voice called out from the crowd, snapping them back. Josh! You can't hide. Come on, you know you've messed up. The jeering had turned to shouts, a pack mentality forming. Emily felt a surge of anger rise within her. How could they be so cruel, so eager to pile on? This isn't helping. She yelled back, breaking through the murmur of the crowd. All you're doing is making it worse. The crowd shifted, some muttering in agreement, others glaring at her like she was crazy for standing up. Come on, they'll notice us soon, Josh insisted, grabbing the girl's arm gently. We have to go now. Emily glanced around, quickly scanning for any potential escape route. She recognized this wasn't just about them anymore, it was about the girl who stood silently, her pain drawing them together in this chaotic moment. "Let me help," she said to the girl, heart racing with the unexpected solidarity. "We'll find a place where you can feel safe." The girl looked at her, uncertainty clouding her eyes but also a glimmer of hope. "You really mean that?" "Absolutely," Emily replied, a warmth spreading in her chest despite the fear. "No one should have to go through this alone." With a single nod, the girl took a step closer to Emily, as if tethering herself to the promise of safety. "All right, let us move," Mia urged, turning on her heel, ready to lead the way. As they maneuvered through the dispersing crowd, Emily felt an overwhelming mix of anxiety and determination. Whatever was waiting for them out there, together they'd face it head-on. But just as they rounded a corner, the night erupted in chaos. Flashing lights spun like carnival rides, and a police car came into view. Everything froze. Emily's heart raced as she processed what it all meant. Would they be able to slip away unnoticed, or was this the moment the truth would unravel before them? Her hand tightened around the girl's, a silent vow solidifying between them. No matter what happened next, they would confront it together. "Keep moving," Josh urged, glancing nervously over his shoulder. But as they prepared to sprint towards freedom, a familiar voice broke through the night air, freezing Emily in place. "Emily! Wait!" It was her brother, and the world seemed to tilt on its axis. What did he want? As chaos ensued around them, one thought pierced through the fog of emotions: what if he stood on the wrong side of this fight? Emily's heart raced as she turned toward the familiar voice, her brother's figure cutting through the chaos like an unwanted beacon. His face was a mix of concern and determination, but all she could focus on was the sensation of her stomach dropping. Instinctively, she took a step back, pulling the girl closer to her side. "Emily, please. Just hear me out," he shouted over the blaring horns and the murmurs of the crowd. "What do you want?" She snapped, feeling the weight of his presence pressing against her like a physical barrier. Anxiety bubbled to the surface, making her feel suffocated. "I'm here to help." "I wasn't sure where you were, but then I heard the sirens," and his voice trailed off, catching his breath as he scanned the scene around them. "When I saw you, I thought you could be in danger." "Danger? You think being here with you is safer?" She felt the anger flare within her, hot and fierce. Her brother, her supposed protector, couldn't understand the gravity of the situation. "Look, I know things have been rough, but I'm on your side," he insisted, frustration weaving into his tone. Emily shook her head, feeling torn. How could she trust him when everything seemed to be spiraling out of control? She was ready to shield the girl, to protect her from not just the chaos but from any potential betrayal. "This isn't just about me anymore. You don't know what we're dealing with." She felt Josh's hand on her arm, grounding her. "We have to go," he urged softly. "Now." But as they started to move again, her brother grabbed her wrist, his grip firm yet pleading. "I'm trying to help you." "Who is she? What difference does it make?" Emily shot back, her irritation flaring. "Don't you get it? We're running for our lives." "Please, just listen for a second," he said, desperation in his voice. "I can at least get you safe. You don't know what they'll do if they catch you." "They might." He hesitated, as though afraid to finish the thought, but fear was not enough to convince her. "I don't trust you." The words slipped out like a lifeline thrown into the storm. She felt her emotions clash like thunder and lightning in her chest. "Emily, I'm your brother. I just want to protect you." His eyes swam with a blend of concern and something else, something that felt like guilt. Conflicted, she looked to the girl and Josh, both waiting for her decision. Her pulse pounded in her ears as she faced an impossible choice. Trust her brother, who had let her down before, or hold on to the fragile alliance they had formed. "Go." Mia's voice cut in as she pointed down an alleyway. A group of figures was pouring into the street. Now. With one last look at her brother, Emily turned away, letting the urgency of the moment swallow her fear. They darted into the shadowy alley, followed closely by Mia and Josh. As they sprinted, Emily could feel hope slipping from her fingers. She hadn't wanted to believe the worst about her brother, but the way he tried to pull her back into the fray made it clear he wasn't her ally. Every step deeper into the night felt like a gamble, and every breath tore at her resolve. Yet she felt the girl's hand tight in hers, the silent strength between them igniting a spark of defiance. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed in the distance, followed by shouts. The moment froze as adrenaline surged through them. They all turned to Josh, their faces lit with uncertainty. "Which way?" Emily asked, desperation lacing her words. Josh hesitated, then pointed left. "There's a back road it'll lead us out of the chaos." But as they moved, something terrible loomed ahead, a shadow that cast doubt on their escape. Another set of sirens wailed, closer this time. Emily felt her heart stop. "Where are they?" she whispered, fear creeping back in. Would they be able to make it through? Just as they were about to reach the end of the alley, a figure emerged from the shadows. Emily squinted, heart racing. Who's that? The next moment would change everything. The figure stepped closer, a blur of motion in the dim light. Emily's heart pounded louder, matching the rhythm of the chaos surrounding them. As the figure emerged from the shadows, recognition flickered in her mind like a faulty light bulb. It was an older man, his features sharp and weathered, dressed in a long, ragged coat. "Hold on." Josh stepped in front of Emily, poised like a barrier between the stranger and her. "Wait," Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper. Something about the man felt unsettling yet familiar. Then it clicked. "Mr. Dalton." The man's eyes met hers, filled with a mixture of determination and something softer, more vulnerable. "Emily. I've been searching for you. We have to move, there's no time. They're coming." "What are you doing here?" she demanded, unsure whether to feel relieved or terrified. "I heard the rumors. Knew you'd be in danger." He glanced over his shoulder, anxiety creeping into his voice. "I've arranged safe passage for you and your friend." Emily's instincts screamed for caution. "And why would you help us? You were never on my side, remember?" "I made mistakes," he replied hastily, urgency lacing his words. "But I'm trying to make things right. We can't stay exposed." He turned his gaze to Josh, then to Mia, assessing them with a calculating look. "You'll need protection." Mia squeezed Emily's hand, her eyes wide, sharing Emily's hesitation. "Is this some kind of trap?" "No." Mr. Dalton urged, panic rising in his voice. "It's not a trap. I'd never betray you again." Emily took a deep breath, weighing the risk. Trust had become a rare commodity in her life, especially now. "If we follow you, where will you take us?" "I promise I can keep you safe at my place. It's fortified. You can hide there until it's safe." Josh tilted his head, judging the man. "How do we know you aren't playing some game?" A loud crash echoed again, causing all their heads to whip around. The sound of boots thundered closer. Time was running out. "Will you take my word? I can protect you. I couldn't stand by and do nothing this time. Trust me." His eyes locked onto Emily's, imploring her to see his sincerity. Emily felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Every moment was drenched in fear, but so was every decision. "We can't stay here," she said at last, looking to Josh. "Which way do we go?" "Let us follow him," Josh said decisively, but Emily could see the uncertainty in his stance. As they moved toward Mr. Dalton, the back alley darkened further, shadows slipping more heavily around them. The air thickened with tension. They pressed forward, heartbeats quickening, but lurking doubt twisted in the pit of her stomach. Was this really the path to safety, or a deeper plunge into danger? just then, another set of figures stepped into view, surrounding the alley entrance. Their faces were obscured, shrouded in dark hoodies, but Emily felt the panic tighten her chest. "Run!" Mr. Dalton shouted. They bolted, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that a storm awaited them at the end of this escape. Was trusting Mr. Dalton her only choice now? Or was she leading them right into the lion's den? The alley twisted, narrowing as they sprinted deeper into the night, the sirens growing closer. Would they really find safety, or was this chase just beginning? Ahead, an unfamiliar darkness beckoned. Would their fears or hope chart their path from this moment on? The clatter of their footsteps echoed off the damp walls, the sound mingling with their ragged breaths. Emily could feel the urgency in every stride, every heartbeat. Mr. Dalton led the way, his coat flaring behind him like a flag of hope in the chaos. Each step felt heavy with uncertainty, but she had no choice but to follow. "What if this is a trap?" Mia whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "Then we'll deal with it," Josh replied, determination dripping from his tone. He seemed more resolute now, urging Emily on as they maneuvered between piles of garbage and rusted barrels. Mr. Dalton stopped abruptly, turning to face them. "This way." He gestured toward an unmarked door, half hidden behind a stack of crates. The door looked ancient, a forgotten relic of the city's past, its wood splintered and peeling. They pressed forward. Emily barely had time to register her surroundings before Mr. Dalton threw the door open and ushered them inside. The shelter was dimly lit, the air stale like an abandoned attic. The scent of dust mixed with something wet and moldy. "Stay close," he urged as they stepped inside, and then he quickly shut the door behind them. The sound echoed like a closing coffin. "Is it safe?" Mia asked, her eyes darting around, searching for exits. Mr. Dalton nodded, but there was a flicker of doubt in his gaze. "For now. We have to wait for them to pass." He led them further into the room, revealing a small space filled with old furniture covered in sheets and stacks of boxes. Emily's pulse raced. "What if they find us?" "They'll look for a while, but they're not back here. It's just a matter of time before they get distracted," Mr. Dalton said, his voice firm. Josh stepped closer to Emily, his hand resting lightly on her shoulder. "I know you have your doubts, but if he wanted us dead, he wouldn't have brought us here." Emily liked to think Josh was right. But then again, this could all be part of a larger game, one they were perilously entangled in. As they remained quiet, the hiss of sirens wafted through the cracks in the walls, mingling with the distant shouts of figures patrolling the streets. A palpable tension filled the room, each sound drumming in Emily's ears like a warning. "We need to talk," Mr. Dalton said, breaking the silence, his voice low but urgent. "I owe you that much. We all have a past, but mine is something you should know about." Emily crossed her arms, her anxiety morphing into curiosity. "What could you possibly say that would make this situation any clearer?" He took a step forward, his expression softening. "I was involved in things I shouldn't have been, and you were right to distrust me. But I've been given a chance to protect you. I want to make amends." "You don't get it. Trust isn't something that can just be handed out like candy," she countered, anger bubbling to the surface. "What did you expect me to think? You didn't just pull away, you abandoned me at a time I needed help. I know, and I regret it every day. But right now you need me." His words hung in the air, heavy with implications. Emily wanted to believe him. The notion of connection, of reconciliation, felt like a lifeline in her tumultuous sea of doubt. Just as the tension reached a breaking point, a loud bang sounded from outside. The door rattled violently against the frame, and they all froze. Another bang. "Stay down," Mr. Dalton whispered urgently, his eyes darting to the door as adrenaline surged through Emily's veins. A chill ran along her spine. Were they about to be discovered? Then, another round of voices spilled over the noise, shouting, angry, desperate. The gang was drawing near. Emily could feel her heart racing as fear gripped her. If they get in here, she started, but Mr. Dalton held up a hand to silence her. Trust me, just trust me, he said, his voice steady despite the panic emerging around them. What would they risk next? And could they actually bring themselves to trust one another again? Suddenly, the door burst open, and darkness settled like a blanket around them, plunging Emily into a world of fear, uncertainty, and an emerging realization someone had to make a stand. Who would it be? The door swung wide, crashing against the wall. A figure loomed in the entrance, partly silhouetted by the dim light outside. Shadows danced across its face, revealing a gang member's sneer. Search the place, he barked, his voice slicing through the thick air. They can't have gone far. Mr. Dalton jumped into action, grabbing both Emily and Mia by the shoulders and urging them deeper into the room. Go. Now. He whispered urgently, his eyes wide with fear. Emily could feel the panic tightening in her chest as they scurried behind an old sofa draped in dust. She stifled a gasp, tears pricking at the edges of her vision. Josh stayed close, with his body brushing against hers, a small comfort amidst the chaos. Are they armed? Mia's voice barely broke through the tension, quivering like a leaf. Most likely, Josh replied, his face taut. But we need to stay quiet. The gang member shouted orders, his voice echoing through the estranged corners of the shelter. Emily held her breath, feeling the weight of disbelief settle over her. This wasn't happening, it couldn't be real. They had navigated through the chaos only to be trapped again. But deep from within her, a spark ignited. It simmered beneath her skin, pushing her towards action. Mr. Dalton, she whispered, moving closer to him, we can't just hide here. We need a plan. He looked at her, eyes filled with uncertainty. You're right, we can't stay still, but we have to be careful. One wrong move, a sudden crash interrupted him. One of the gang members had kicked over a stack of boxes, sending debris flying. Check the back. He yelled again, his impatience boiling over. Emily's heart raced. They had to act. If Mr. Dalton wouldn't take the lead, then maybe it had to be her. Let us find another exit, she suggested fiercely, her voice a mere whisper. Before anyone could argue, she slipped from behind the sofa, her feet moving instinctively toward a side door she spotted earlier. Emily, wait. Josh called, but she was already flinging it open. The door led to a narrow passageway, barely illuminated. The walls were damp and felt like a tight embrace around her. She glanced back to see Mia and Josh hesitating, caught between loyalty and fear. Come on. She urged, desperation creeping into her tone. This way. Mia helped Mr. Dalton's arm as they hurried into the corridor, the muffled sounds of the gang fading behind them. As they moved deeper into the passage, adrenaline rushed through Emily's veins, igniting her spirit. She wasn't sure where they were heading, but she felt an odd mixture of excitement and dread. They turned a corner, finding their path blocked by a tangle of old ropes and netting. Panic flickered in Mia's eyes. What if we're trapped again? No. We'll find a way around, Emily assured her, pushing through the ropes with newfound strength. Each twist and turn of the narrow corridor seemed like a gateway to freedom, but doubts clawed at her thoughts. What if they were leading themselves right into danger? Just as they neared the end of the passageway, a safer exit came into view. Emily's breath caught in her throat. It opened up into a dilapidated back alley, the cool night air a stark contrast to the suffocating atmosphere behind them. We can make it. She shouted, bolting toward the light at the end, her heart thundering with hope. But as they reached the end, they skidded to a halt, eyes widening in disbelief. 3 gang members were loitering just outside, their eyes like predatory hawks, searching. Go. Mr. Dalton hissed, pushing them forward. Emily's mind raced. They had to choose stay quiet and hidden or make a break for it into the unknown. On 3, she whispered, courage mingling with fear. 1-2 suddenly, a voice echoed from the passage, calling for the gang. Their hold on the night, their moment of freedom, teetered at the edge of a knife. 3. Josh shouted, bursting through the door into the alley. As they charged forward, Emily's mind was foggy with adrenaline. They pushed past the startled gang members, running for their lives. But where would they go? The darkness loomed ahead. Keep running, she urged, even as doubts clawed at her heels. But they were free from the grip of the shelter, at least for now. As they raced into the night, one question lingered: had they just jumped from the frying pan into the fire, what awaited them in the shadows? The adrenaline surged through Emily's veins as they darted into the night, freedom a fragile hope just out of reach. The echoes of chaos faded behind them, but a creeping sense of dread settled in her chest. They didn't know where they were headed, only that they had to keep moving. Which way? Mia panted, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Just follow me, Emily shouted, leading them through the maze of back streets. Their feet pounded against the cracked pavement, a rhythm of desperation. With each heartbeat, Emily felt more alive than she ever had in her gilded cage. They rounded a corner, the city's neon lights casting a surreal glow that seemed to heighten the tension. We need a plan, Josh said, catching up beside her, his brow furrowed with determination. Let us find somewhere safe, Emily replied, her thoughts racing. We can figure out what to do next. Suddenly, a bright flash caught her eye, and Emily turned just in time to see two figures emerge further down the street, their shadows stretched by the streetlights. More of them, she gasped, panic bubbling. Stay low, Josh hissed, pulling Mia and Emily behind a dumpster. The sound of footsteps grew closer, a heavy thud echoing in the stillness. Emily pressed her back against the cool metal, her heart racing, ears straining as she strained to hear the approaching voices. Did you see them? A voice called, harsh and demanding. No, but they won't get far, another replied, confident and cruel. Fear flooded Emily's chest, but amidst the anxiety, a flicker of determination sparked within her. We won't let them find us, she whispered fiercely. After what felt like an eternity, the voices faded, and Emily took a steadying breath. Now's our chance, she urged, glancing at Josh and Mia. We need to keep moving. They slipped out, eyes scanning for a safe spot. Just ahead, the faint outline of a park broke the concrete stretch and seemed oblivious to the chaos lurking just out of view. There. The park. Emily pointed, and they hurried towards it. As they crossed into the relative safety of the trees, a momentary calm washed over them. Once inside, they dropped to the ground behind a large oak, their breaths heavy and labored. What now? Mia asked, her voice quivering from fatigue. Emily looked at Josh before answering. Maybe we can call the police. They need to know what's happening. Josh shook his head. Do we trust them? What if they don't believe us? We can't stay hidden forever. The urgency in Emily's voice pressed them forward. We need to reach out to someone. Then it hit her. Mr. Dalton. She fished her phone from her pocket, her fingers trembling as she dialed his number. It rang. Come on, pick up, Mia. The voice on the other end was a rush of relief catching in her throat. Mr. Dalton. We need help. The gang is after us. Stay where you are. I'll come to you, he said, an uncharacteristic urgency injected into his tone. Okay, Emily replied, her heart pounding in rhythm with every passing second. As they waited, the tension in the air felt almost electric, the trees swaying slightly as if whispering secrets just beyond their reach. Emily glanced at Josh and Mia. They sat close together, their expressions resolute yet worried. I'm glad you both are with me, she said softly, the bond between them strengthened by shared fear and courage. Never thought we'd be in something like this, Mia said, a small smile creeping onto her face. But you were amazing back there, Emily. You didn't let fear take control. Josh nodded, adding, you kept us grounded. We might just get through this. Their weights shifted from uncertainty to an emerging sense of unity, illuminating the path forward. Something profound had changed. They were no longer just three individuals caught in a chaotic moment. They were a team. Before long, familiar footsteps broke through the tension. Mr. Dalton emerged, panting. "We need to go now." He scanned the area, his eyes wide. "Did you see anyone?" Emily asked, fear gripping her anew. "Not yet, but we have to act quickly before they do." With synchronized urgency, they followed Mr. Dalton, hearts pounding in their chests, guided by a force greater than fear or hesitation, a shared belief in hope. As they retreated deeper into the night, a sense of purpose entranced them. Each step felt like a declaration against the chaos threatening to swallow them whole. When they reached the edge of the park, Mr. Dalton stopped, pointing to a nondescript van parked along the curb. "Get inside quickly." They scrambled into the vehicle, pulling the doors shut behind them as if sealing a pact. "What now?" Josh asked, peering out the window anxiously. "We drive," Mr. Dalton replied, gripping the steering wheel with determination. "I'll take you somewhere safe. A place where you can be free of this menace." As they sped down the street, Emily leaned back against the coolness of the glass. Hope filled her lungs, and she realized they had found a way forward together. What had begun as a tumultuous journey of uncertainty had transformed into something beautiful. They would face what lay ahead, not just as friends but as a family forged in the flames of struggle and resilience. The neighborhood began to fade into the distance, and for the first time, hope re-emerged brighter than before. As sirens faded behind them, Emily felt the reins of her life slipping back into her control. This was their new beginning, and together, they would conquer whatever came next. Now, don't let this moment end here. You need to subscribe now to catch the next chapter of their incredible journey. Don't miss out. Hit that like button now to show your support and help our community grow. I want to hear what you think, so comment on your feelings about this ending and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who also need to feel this transformation. This is the moment to uplift and inspire, so let's get this message out there.